Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, Wendy Sellers here, the HR lady, here with my co-host JC.
Wendy, it's a pleasure to hear you again today. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Can't really complain. I want to talk about with our amazing guest today, integrating ritual healing and equity in the workplace. That's a pretty meaty topic, don't you think?
Oh, I do. And, believe it or not, before we jump right in and introduce the guest, I've got a stat for you just to shock the room. Incorporating ritualistic practices into HR processes could actually enhance employee well-being by up to 28%. It fosters a deeper sense of community by 32% and creates a more inclusive workplace environment, believe it or not, by 26%. That's all according to a study by MIT Sloan Management Review. Now, with all that being said, let's take our knowledge to the next level.
I love it. Thank you for jumping it right in with statistics. They're helpful to me to find out, okay, why are we having this conversation? But I really do want to talk about, inclusive workplaces. Wouldn't that be nice? And how HR or whoever is wearing the HR hat, because not everybody has HR, can lead the charge in promoting equity, dismantling biases, systematic biases, and ensuring that all of our employees are treated with fairness and respect. And then kumbaya, we'd all love going to work. Yay! With that said, we have Dr. Moray, who goes by Pavini. How are you doing today?
Great. Nice to be with both of you.
Yes. Hey, welcome. Tell us about your book. You're an author, and why are you so passionate about this topic?
So my topic is power in the workplace, and I am passionate about it as a serial entrepreneur and builder of many businesses. It really has come to the forefront in my personal practice of leadership. And being a leader has required me to develop a new skill set of how do I hold power with equity? How do I hold a justice lens on being a leader? And so it really comes from my personal, I'll say my personal failings, actually, as I have learned through the School of Hard Knocks how to lead with integrity.
I love that. I love that you admit that. I admit it all the time. I always tell everybody, when somebody says, I've made a mistake, I ask them, do you respect them more or less? And for me, I respect them more. Now, if they're saying it every day, I'm like, get out of here, right? It's definitely when we admit our mistakes and admit that we've learned from them, I think people respect us even more. So that's the first thing people can do, is just admit that they've made mistakes, that they've grown from them. And then you can hold the power. So I've got to check out your book. It's on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
I will definitely check it out. And for our listeners, I'll make sure that we have it in the podcast notes as well. So, continue to talk to me a little bit more. You're serial entrepreneur. I like how you threw that in there too. What are you currently focusing on the most, and what type of businesses are you helping, or individuals?
Yeah, right now I'm focusing most on writing and on coaching leaders in how to be embodied in the workplace, how to be present, how to have the capacities that they need to be the kind of leaders that they want to be. And those are all skills that don't just live in our heads, they live in our bodies. And so the somatic piece of it is where it's like really where the rubber meets the road, because when we get into our bodies, the changes that we want to make are both easier and more long lasting. So that's what I'm up to right now.
I love it. Talk to me a little bit more. Explain, what do you mean with the somatic approach?
Yeah.
So I've never heard of it.
Yeah. So somatics is just, all it means is of the body, right? So somatic practice means practices where you're integrating your mind and your body, right? So you could have a meditation practice, for example, that's just focused on the mind, or you could have a meditation practice that's focused on the mind and the body, where you're noticing what's happening in your body. And so somatics is really a buzzword right now in all kinds of industries, because like there's this new focus on body awareness and on not just being talking heads at work, for example, but on really bringing our whole selves and noticing what happens in our relationships and how we're showing up and how it's feeling. So somatics is it's ancient. Everybody has access to it, and it's free, which is great, right? It's just about how we place our attention inside of our own bodies.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Up next in our second episode of this 5-part series, we're going to talk about healing trauma in the workplace. And boy, that's a loaded topic right there. So I wanted to just remind everybody before we go over to episode 2 that Aurora Training Advantage has many live and recorded webinar options for accounting, business administration and management, finance, and of course, human resources, which is where I come in. So stay tuned, and thanks for joining us. We'll be right back.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.